Hey everyone! In this video we'll be reviewing Object 490 Belka and determine whether the tank is balanced or broken. The tank is currently available as Ultimate Season Pass bundle for Warlord Season for 6,000 gold, well technically 4,000 gold. But the base price of the tank is 22.5k gold and then the skin costs additional 3,000. So you can technically get the tank that costs 25.5k gold for 4,000. So if you play Cold War, this is definitely the best deal you're gonna get, as it is a top tier tank, not a mid tier for Era 3. We currently have only 3 premiums that are top tier. One is Object 477, that's a tank destroyer. Then we have Sturv 122A, a heavy tank, and then now we have the third premium, which is Object 490 Belka. It is also a tank destroyer. So let's start with the setup that I'm using for my tank. For equipment, I'm using Advanced Loader, Advanced Concealment, Enhanced Missile Warning System, as well as Enhanced Target Info. Using 3 premium consumables, Advanced Repair Kit, Advanced Med Kit, and Enhanced Food Rations. For camouflage, I'm using the 3D skin that is available with the Ultimate Season Pass bundle. Moving on to crew, I'm using Mon Leader, Rapid Loading Snapshot, Sixth Sense, Armor Angling, Control Impact, Track Mechanics, Steady Aim, and a Run and Gun. Because this is Tank Destroyer, I'm going with the triple accuracy perks as we can't mount the vertical stabilizer. Let's look at the module viewers. Your engine is in the middle with the fuel tank in the front. Then you have a turret. Do keep in mind the turret, the module is not pennable, same as Object 477, but you can still pen it from the front, which we'll go over shortly. The gun 152 mm. The ammo is towards the rear, and you have a radio in the rear as well, and 2 crew members. So unless they're shooting in the back, you're not going to lose the crew. You can even think about getting rid of advanced medikit if you think you're only going to play support, and add another consumables like smoke for extra concealment as well as for those tricky situations. So let's look at the armor viewer. So the strength of this tank is the angled armor. It's very difficult to pen, but even when this tank is held down, you can pen the turret cheeks. As you can see, this 590 mm plate, it is flat for the most part. So as long as you have 700 or 650 plus pen, and even if you're shooting this tank with the same tank, you'll be able to go through the turret cheeks, and that's a relief because we don't want another Object 477 where you can only rely on HE to pen that tank most of the time. In addition, 250 mm upper plate, you're not going to pen it even with your gun unless he over angles and you're at a height. You will be able to go through it, but if both of you are on a flat ground, you're not penning the hull. The back obviously is pennable. The side's 150 mm plate, pennable as well. And then over on the turret, you can pen this area that is 80 mm, but you can't pen anything behind it. The side armor is 70 mm. Better to shoot the rear side as it's only single plate. And this is the turret module I was talking about. As long as you're shooting this area, you will not pen. So when you have the side of this tank, it's better to shoot the side because it doesn't have a fully rotatable turret. And it's easier to shoot the side of this tank compared to the tanks with turret. Then some additional armor, layers of spaced armor. You can't pen the lower plate consistently. You will, when you shoot the lower plate, you might damage their fuel tank or sometimes even ammo rack without doing any damage. And in one of the games, I actually set the tank on fire without actually doing the damage. But that is just one of the things that happens in Cold War. From time to time, you might be able to pen the lower plate if you pen high rolls. But the best way to pen this tank is just shooting right in the turret cheeks and you'll be able to go through the tank. Looking at the stats, the tank goes 80 kilometers forward and backward while in drive mode and 30 kilometers while in siege mode. Horsepower of 1000, power to weight 18, hit points of 3900, so 150 more than Object 477, hull rotation 28, concealment 298 stationary. The tank does have 14 degrees of gun depression while in siege mode, which is better than the 477, and 10 degrees while in drive mode. So even though you have less gun depression and worse handling in drive mode, you can still use the gun. You can still hit shots much more reliably than you can in the World War II version of STIRS. But at the same time, if you are in an engagement, do keep in mind to activate the siege mode for better shots. Yaw limit of 120 left and right, reload 10.3, accuracy 0.27, aiming time 2.2, standard is APS DS, secondary HE, DPM 4431, and penetration for standard is 900 and HE 180, alpha 760 and 980 respectively. It is essentially the same gun as 477, just slightly worse DPM, and also STIRS doesn't have a secondary weapon. So this tank is a holding tank instead of pushing, so you can't do as well while you're aggressive in this tank because your sides are also weaker and you can get pinned, unlike 477. So this tank shines at holding because it is basically impenetrable unless that's your gun, and then you can drive forward towards the end, right? But keep in mind to not be aggressive early on. Module damage 240 for both shells, 980 meter per second shell velocity for APFSDS, and 960 for HE. Looking at the bonus for this tank, silver run rate 50%, tank XP 100%, premium vehicle run rate 10%, commander XP 25%, and free XP run rate of 4%. So let's see how this tank actually performs in the battlefield. Here in Desful, my favorite Cold War exclusive map due to less visual noise, so I can see tanks and objects more clearly. So decided to push in the middle towards the city center, as I know my tank has reliable armor. As long as I have support and avoid getting flanked, I should be almost impenetrable to get penned, unless of course they start shooting AT, which is very common. That is going to happen because when the tanks won't be able to pen you, as the tank is new, they might not be aware that you can pen the cheeks, and they'll just go for the AT option, which is the easier option where you do some damage and you have to aim less. So 4 more tanks or 5 tanks from our team are in the middle already, which is a good start for me. Meanwhile, our heavy tank decided to push the 0 line. I do like my team at this point. They're pushing forward, spotted 3 of their tanks, 2 mediums. They're holding the front angle, activating siege mode, and going for the flank. So while they're focusing on my teammates, I can just farm in the back, and even if they turn, they won't be able to do much. And then my teammates can farm them in the back as well. And what do we have here? Object or AMX 40, nice side shot. So just farming at this point. I did notice there's a tank destroyer, so prioritizing 477A for obvious reasons. So pen him while I can. Do keep in mind that the tank does have way better gun handling in siege mode. It's not that you can't pen when you are in drive mode, but when you're in an engagement, it's just better to activate the siege mode, as you can still go 30 forward and backward, but the gun handling comes in handy. My lack of awareness of how to pen 477 front wheel coming into play, as I didn't have a clear shot on the back. I thought, okay, maybe the second time is the charge, but I missed again. So pushing him so I can see his rear side. If there was a more experienced Cold War player playing, he would have penned 477's drive wheel reliably, but well, what can we do? Nonetheless, winning by 2 tanks. Also, we now have HP bar. If you can see at the top, team HP bar, it shows the percentage of HP remaining as well as the bar health. You can also disable either both or one of those options, but I like this feature. However, I do wish they add the actual hit points as well. Merkava pushing forward, and the siege mode super gun depression coming in handy. They can't pen me unless I shoot my gun, as I mentioned, but they kind of gave up going for the medium, as our medium over pushed, and even that's a solid medium. They're hiding from me as they were not able to pen my tank, providing me an opportunity to just push forward. Merkava has given up. He's like, I'm not going to try to pen 490 after bouncing first few times. 7,000 damage so far. We're winning by 3 tanks now. They are capping. I was going to activate drive mode so I can get to the base quickly, but as soon as I activated, I noticed a full health Leclerc trying to flank object 490. Not happening today, Leclerc. Not happening. Again, he's in a terrible position and I can just farm him without taking any punishment. The only time they're gonna pen my upper hull, as I said, is if I over angle or if they're up top or on the flat ground. They can't. A nice fire onto the Leclerc. Another shot, and it is now 30 HP remaining, not worth my shell. Closing in on 10k damage. Not so special in R3, but nonetheless, still, they have a guy on cap and 4 of the tanks are spotted. No, yeah, 4 of the tanks are spotted, and 1 tank is missing. M1A2 pushing towards our medium, trying to get a shot here. It's a small window. Unfortunately, I missed. I shouldn't have done that. The last tank gets spotted as well. I should have gone for easier targets such as this medium, then trying to shoot M1A2 through the window. Martyr gets spotted, not even paying attention to me as he's engaging in another enemy, so decent farm. 11,000 damage. Can we get to 12 here? I hope I do. Managed to get another shot in Martyr here. He's down to 1 shot, 300 HP remaining. Was taken out by our teammate. Over on the other side, the red team's Belka is still alive with 3,200 damage. He's getting pushed by 2 tanks. And looks like they're shooting HE, as I mentioned. That's what you should be prepared for. Which means there's gonna be more time for me to get into position and do some damage. One good thing that red tank is doing is he's keeping his front towards both our teammates and saving his HP for me. A nice shot into his side. Another HE. Oh, panic. We ended up ramming the rock here. 13.3k damage. If I can get one more pen, we'll be able to hit 14k here. He's in drive mode, reversing as the tank goes 80 forward and backwards. So managed to get out of that tricky situation. 14,000 damage here. He's 3 HP. I thought I could maybe pen his hatch, but of course you cannot. Nonetheless, though, decent game. 14,000 damage, 2,500 assist. And as well as I managed to get the ace tanker. So whether this tank is balanced or broken, it is balanced. It promotes a healthier holding gameplay instead of run and gun, which I love, and it's very good for health of Era 3. Do let me know in comments what you think about this tank, if you're planning to buy it or not buy it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.